be redundant at this point in your career to make a movie about Freud and Jung, having made so many films about sexual perversion, split personalities, horror of the body, and so forth. And how did you find your way into it?
That doesn't sound like me to me. I think that I've made a lot of comedies, actually. But no, I don't really think about my other movies at all, frankly. I don't think about what I've done at all. When I decide to do something, I become passionate about it. I'm only interested in realizing that particular thing. So I don't think about whether this fits in with anything or doesn't, or I've done it or not. I mean, once I get excited about it. I think when I read Christopher's play, and I've never seen it performed, but I felt, in retrospect, I think that I had always wanted to do something about Freud and the birth of psychoanalysis. But to say that isn't to say anything, really, because it's such a vast topic and full of the panoply of incredible characters that surrounded the birth of psychoanalysis, all of them very eccentric and wonderful. And what I saw in Christopher's play was this fantastic structure that really beautifully distilled the essence of the era and of that the psychoanalytic movement into primarily 5 characters. And I thought that got me very excited, because suddenly that was, the structure that could allow me to play with all of those topics.
Sex.
Male.
Family.
Child.
Divorce.
No.
Professor Freud. Dr. Jung.
I've simply opened a door. It's for the young men like yourself to walk through it.
Perhaps she's the one for your experimental treatment.
Tell me about the first time you can remember being beaten by your father.
It excited me.
Michael, can you tell us a little bit about how you became involved with the project, and a little bit about David as a director of actors, because I think the performances in the film are so completely stunning.
Yeah, we first met in Toronto. I flew up to have a lunch with David, and that's really when he started sort of directing me, if you like. I always think, great directors are great manipulators. And he was already, planting seeds in my mind then at that lunch about, the story and what he found interesting about these various characters, and where he thought sort of Jung was coming from and his background. And we just had a really nice lunch, and then we talked a lot about motor racing, which we both share a passion for. And then really, by the time we got on set, I think the one great thing, well, one of the many great things about David is he allows you to sort of breathe within it in your own way. It's like, again, with, great directors, I find, don't necessarily give you a huge amount of direction on the day. Mm-hmm. It's maybe a dinner that you had 2 nights before or a week before, just little sort of hints and little nudges and sort of sway you in certain directions, but without giving you anything sort of solidly, now you do this. I think any sort of great director that sort of worked with that for them is the sort of is the last thing that they want. It's really a very sort of collaborative process, and one that's just very sort of free, and he creates a very safe place to create and take risks and try things out. And I have to say, it was a very humorous set, but everybody had done their homework, and came ready to go to work.
It's generally thought to be the man who should take the initiative.
Don't you think there's something male in every woman and something female in every man? Or should be?
Maybe. I expect you're right, yes.
If you ever want to take the initiative, I live in that building there, where the bay window is.
Question is, what is David's hinge on the universe, and in what direction is he swaying the audience, to paraphrase the film?
Well, first of all, I think, and my feeling with the play was that it was very neutral, actually. I mean, and certainly I approached it that way, that for me, making the movie was a process of resurrection. I really wanted these people to come back to life. I wanted to hear them and smell them and feel them, and you know, and leather. I don't think, and Jung wore leather. So
behind closed doors.
He used leather, yeah. And so, but really, it was also to resurrect the era, because it was so fascinating, and I think kind of a crucial one, because it was a time, you know, Vienna was the seat of the Austro-Hungarian Empire that had lasted 700 years. They had an 80-year-old emperor who they felt would live forever. They felt that man was evolving beautifully from animal to angel, that reason would conquer all, that everything could be, everyone knew his place in society, and everything was controlled. You could see it by the clothes, the high collars, the high stiff collars, and the corsets and everything. And so and yet it was on the eve of the First World War, which blew all of that to pieces, that whole idea of European super civilization. So but I felt I wanted that to be as accurate as possible. I didn't have an agenda, and actually I didn't feel that Christopher had an agenda either, which was what was wonderful. It was to present these people as accurately as they were.
And how is your little Russian patient?
There was the most dramatic improvement.
Is she a virgin?
Oh, certainly. Why should we put so much effort into suppressing our most basic natural instincts?
Never repress anything.
I want you to punish me.
There's a rumor running around Vienna that you've taken one of your patients as a mistress.
Surely you didn't think I'd let you go without putting up a fight?
My hinge into the universe, well, is just I really, as I think Freud did, insist on the reality of the human body. I mean, to me, that is our reality. And Freud was insisting on it at a time when people were trying to deny that, you know, that abstract ideas were everything. And Freud was talking about, you know, penises and vaginas and excrement and anuses and stuff that no one wanted to talk about or even acknowledge the existence of. And he was saying a lot of those things have huge repercussions in our adult life, in our society, and so on. So that's my take on things. And if you ask me, did I prefer Freud to Jung? Well, I feel more empathy for Freud's approach to the human condition. I think Jung kind of represented ultimately a flight from the human body into spirituality and really religion. I think ultimately he became a religious leader, if you can believe it. And so that's, you know, but I didn't really feel the need to demolish Jung or favor Freud or anything like that. That wasn't really part of the process, the creative process.
Unfortunately, we have to stop there, but I want to thank David and everyone on the panel for being here at the New York Film Festival.